Worked all day, minimum wage. Got no relief from the help on it paid. Hate this life every way. Me and my wife are working no play. Now I'm out on the boat every day. Having fun, no worries about pay. Easy work while the fishermen play. Watching time pass as we gently sway. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Fishing's great. I got fear on nights. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Life is great. Love this island life. Summers are warm, winters are too. Tourists coming down instead of turning blue. Hotels are packed, the tiki bars are cool. All ready to party and dance by the pool. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Fishing's great. I got beer on nights. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Life is great. Love this island life. From Key Largo down to Key West, blue waters here are truly the best. For a killer tent and a local cold beer, put your ass in the car and get down here. We're on the sunny side of paradise. The fishing's great. We got beer on nights. We're on the sunny side of paradise. Life is great. We love this island life. We're on the sunny side of paradise. Fishing's great. We got beer on nights. We're on the sunny side of paradise. We're on the sunny side of paradise. We're on the sunny side of paradise. We're on the sunny side of paradise.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dave Roush Show Special Edition. Tonight we have two very special guests joining us, Kenneth and Nell Tice, the dynamic duo of DJs who have been making waves in their way with their own radio show on Sandcastle Radio. We'll be diving into their careers, the magic behind their radio shows, and much more. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. All right. Welcome, you guys.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said earlier, us DJs got to stick together and I've been meaning to reach out and get you guys on the show because I think what you do is super important.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know what? It really is super important. There is so much magic in live radio and connectivity and collaboration, and it's really awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, that's really cool. So why don't you tell us some of the early influences that shaped you, that made you want to become a DJ?
Well, I'm gonna like kind of start off with this one because I consider him more of a DJ than myself.
You have your own show.
Well, yes, but kind of my gosh, let's want some beer. I mean, it's kind of taken off. I'm just over here playing some music from a decade that most kids don't even resonate with these days on my '90s revenge show. But yeah, I mean, my gosh, I've always been involved in music growing up, and music is so incredibly important. And it's life changing. It really is life changing. And I think some early influences are just, going through like a specific period in your life and you're listening to music, and every time you hear a song, you think back to that point in your life or an instance or something that happened, and it's so incredibly connected, honestly, with, emotionally and with people and everything. Those are some of my, honestly.
Kenny?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I have a very clear answer to this. So, when I was younger, and when I say when I was younger, that doesn't mean a whole lot since I'm 46. So, that could have been it could have been a while ago. So, I had a buddy that moved to central Pennsylvania that was a country radio lifer. He was from Springfield, Illinois, and was eventually moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and worked at US 101 in Chattanooga before heading to central Pennsylvania. And he worked for a cat country station here in central PA. And he was a great friend, and he was an unbelievable DJ. And he had a knack for what the people wanted, and he did things that the people wanted, and that didn't necessarily sit well with the program directors all the time. So in some of the cases, he struggled to hold the job that he had, but he was an amazing DJ, and I feel like he was a bit ahead of his time. And I feel like part of what I'm doing is modeled after what he did, and we're really lucky to be able to do basically what it is we want. Pete and Deb let us do whatever it is that we feel necessary for the listeners and for the artists, and so we're allowed to let ourselves come through, and that's what he really did. And I like to think I modeled myself a little bit after what he was doing, back in the day.
Nice. Well, a big shout out to them in Sandcastle Radio. Thank you so much for letting these guys come on. And thanks, Harry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean, like Kenny said, Pete and Deb, it's the independent radio scene has really been something else because, we're all accustomed to terrestrial radio, as they say, right? Where the big guys will come in if you say something incorrect or say something, a little off, off kilter, but, it's been really amazing. And Pete and Deb have really taken us under their wing to teach us about how people love live. And, they love the human aspect of what we're doing. And it's just been really amazing. They've been so supportive with all of the DJs on Sandcastle Radio, putting their music in other spaces and doing shows in other stations. And it's really, really cool to be in a mindset in a space where everybody is of that mindset.
Wow. That's amazing.
If I can say this, Dave, I remember back, your song, Sunny Side of Paradise. I remember I didn't know who you were, and, you probably didn't know who I was, and you reached out and you're like, hey, can I get the song on your show on the station, and I'm like, yeah, cool. And we've connected over time, and I appreciate the support that you showed my show, and I try to do the same for you. And I appreciate the friendship we've developed because we're all in this together, right?
Well, the feeling is mutual because this is what we do. This is what we love. I'm going to give my earliest influence. It was 1966, 67. So I think 68. Excuse me, 68. My uncle Harry was a DJ in Mesa, Arizona, on the FM dial, and he was a rock and roll DJ. And I would go to his house, and he had these shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of the metal shelves of just albums and 45s, and I was just in awe. And I would go to the station. My mom would take me to the station. I got to meet a few people. I got to meet the Monkees, and
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, back in this, and I almost got to meet the Beatles, but something happened, and I couldn't go. But it was a bummer. But he got me. Remember the little dolls, the Beatle dolls, little short ones with all the instruments. I had a full set of those. Yeah. I had a full set of those, and I don't know what happened to them. I'm like, dang. Those are
you lost.
Yeah, well, I had to move somewhere along. I've moved so many times. Before I got sober, I did a lot of moving, and a lot of stuff happened, and so you lose stuff from time to time. But
yeah.
So, on to another subject. How did you guys come to join Sandcastle? I know you touched a little bit with it earlier. Is it just the same what you said, Kenny?
Well, I tell you, I'm going to let Nell tell this story because the reason that we're on Sandcastle Radio is because Nell did a radio show. She was a guest on Deb's radio show that was on another radio station, and so that's how we ended up connecting with them. But I'll let Nell tell the story because.
Yeah, so I was connected to Deb, co-station owner of Sandcastle, and through a friend and client of ours by the name of Jeremy, who's a music producer out of Minneapolis. And he connected us, and he said, you guys would get along great. And so we connected on social media. And one day, Deb put out a Facebook post basically saying, hey, I'm looking to talk about gratitude on my radio show. Would anybody want to come on and join me? Nobody had responded. And I commented, I said, hey, I'll do it. And she said, great. We go live tomorrow. Like, oh, okay. So it turns out, I think we were recording, or I don't know, but we did so, and we had a great chat, and we learned about Penny and I doing our YouTube channel and all this other stuff. And she was like, this is amazing. Let's stay in touch. So we always stayed in touch. And then a few months later, lo and behold, she and now partnered Perez, co-owner and director in Sandcastle Radio, had been scheming behind the scenes to start this station, Sandcastle, and Pete Perez was based out of Boca Raton in Florida at the time, and Des was in Pensacola, Florida, and they decided to start the station. Pete was going to move up to Pensacola, and they asked us if we wanted to go. And at the time, I was like, I have no idea. What would we even talk about on the radio? We have a podcast, we've got this, we've got that, and Penny and I talked about it, and we said, well, there's no reason why we still can't talk about travel. Like, it's making it an extension of our YouTube channel, basically, which is a travel vlog. So we said, all right, we'll do this show. We'll talk about travel. And Penny said, do you even know how to, broadcast radio? Do you have the equipment? I was like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we said yes, and the station launched Thanksgiving Day of 2022, 23?
22.
Nice.
22.
And it was my birthday. And we had a birthday celebration by sitting on our friend's floor for our very first show with a mixer. and a couple microphones, and we went live, and it worked. And we were like, "Hey, we're doing live radio, baby!"
That is too awesome. I tried to do this back a while. We were in Key Largo, and we were living in an RV in a really cool park 300 feet from the Florida Bay, and it just wasn't the right time for me to try and do that. We were living in an RV, and it was kind of small, and until I moved down here, and I have my own little studio now outside from the house, and I think this is where I was supposed to be, because it's just how I'm having a blast doing this, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah. You have an awesome little place down there, Dave. On our conversation earlier, you mentioned you have like a little casita, so to speak, with your studio in it. And how freaking awesome is that?
Yeah, that's why kind of one of the reasons I picked this house. My wife Jeanette wanted she wanted an authentic house down here, and Ajijic, there's a lot of modern development here, but she wanted to feel the tradition. So I found this little house. It's in the barrio, and it's in Ajijic Central, and it's a perfect little house right kind of downtown. Downtown's not like you would think. There's no big buildings. It's just a location. And I found this house online. I rented it ahead of time. I did everything sight unseen, just with photographs and some video. And we moved down here, and it's just been amazing. We've, just wow. I want to shout out to my grandson who's listening, Jordan, and his lovely wife just did a reveal, and they're going to have a little girl. Jordan, congratulations. Grandpa loves you, and rock on, brother.
Aw.
Congratulations, Jordan. Happy to hear that.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's in Washington. I talked to him today, and he's like, "Yeah, I just found the station. I'm loving it." I'm like, "You know what? You're awesome, man. I got some great grandkids. They're really cool."
All right. Is he at Washington State? Or
Washington State. Yeah, Washington State.
Yeah, whenever you around here says Washington, I'm like, "Oh, is it state or DC?"
That's right. You guys are in Pennsylvania. All my people. My dad was born in Beaver, and they lived in Mercer County their entire lives. And I went out to visit him before I went in the military, and I built a fence around his property. I did all kinds of stuff for him, but we were never in close contact. But I enjoyed my stay. I stayed 30 days there. I had a delayed entry, and that was cool. I got to meet my little brothers that are 23 years younger.
Wow.
That is cool.
Yeah. And a shout out to my brother who passed a while back, Joe. He was a hell of a musician, and one of these days I'm going to do a tribute to him and put his music on the radio if Harry will let me. But he was a heck of a musician. What a great guitar player, great singer, but his music was real deep and metal. Yeah. So I don't know if it'll go well on cruising country.
That would be cool if you had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. You guys have a travel blog, so here I'm throwing this out on the radio now. You have an invitation to come down here and check out Ajijic, Lake Chapala, Mexico. We're 35 minutes south of Guadalajara. We're 4 hours from Puerto Vallarta, and now I understand that you're pretty fluent in Spanish.
Lo siento, mi español es malo.
Lo siento mucho, gracias.
Pete Perez is listening right now, and he is shaking his head.
I have no idea what you just said, by the way.
She said, "Don't listen, Kenny." If you don't know, you don't know, right?
He could have offered me up for, sacrifice. I have no idea.
Nah.
You would know it. You would know it.
Lo siento is I'm sorry. And my Spanish is not very good.
We would love, that would be amazing. We would love to come down and visit, because that is an area that we haven't been to, honestly. That would be cool.
Well, I'll tell you.
Our Mexican experience consisted of Riviera Maya,
Yeah, just a resort.
Right. No, this is authentic. This is as real as it gets. I mean, these people are hardworking. They The only time they take off is Sunday for church, and then they're right back at it. They love to party. They love to laugh. They love to smile. I've only heard two people be angry, and those were Canadians. So there's a
To our friend DJ Peter Bedar.
They were probably worried about going back to the cold.
right, don't you know? Yeah, the atmosphere down here is really cool. It's a tourist town. So right now we're out of season, kind of like the Keys where I came from. And Nell, you've been down the Keys. You know what it's like. If you've been down there in season, it's crazy. One road in, one road out. Same here, pretty much. One road in, one road out. And the traffic is about 7 kilometers an hour most of the time.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But the art and the music, I came down here one reason because of the music. It is everyone down here, the musicians that are down here are absolutely fabulous. I mean, that's all they do is music. And my last band, Two Generations, my drummer was 26, my bass player was 24, and my guitar player was 21 years old. And they were accomplished professional musicians.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you guys, that's why we called it Two Generations. They were like my sons. They would be like my grandchildren.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. That must be a great feeling.
Yeah. So being a dynamic duo DJ too, you guys, give us what are the unique challenges that it represents, causes? What do you have to do to get this done? Or is it just simply easy?
Good. I will say I'll jump in because the first thing that came to mind is one of the things that Mel and I actually just had a conversation about very recently was I think one of the challenges is as you progress in the show, people get to know who you are. And then you start to be honored with the ability to play songs that people have worked on sometimes for an entire year. And if you're lucky enough, maybe you get to be the first one to play that song, right? And the challenge is you don't want to screw it up. So you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like they've worked so hard on it, and you feel like they've entrusted you to be the one to allow, the world to hear it, to hear their work, to hear their, blood, sweat, and tears. And the last thing you want to do is mess it up in some way, like have some text glitch or just hit the wrong button or any of those things. That's been the most unique challenge. Other than that, this is a ton of fun to be able to do and to be able to call like quote unquote work, right?
Yeah.
I think that for the two of us, so my own show, I don't have the interaction with artists because it's, I'm doing a 90s show and the artists have, they've had their day and some of them are still successful, which is fantastic, so people aren't entrusting me with the premiere of their show. Now, with our dual show On the Road with Kenny and Nell, we've had artists. I don't think we've ever had a premiere. Kenny is really the one that gets premieres from artists. But okay, now that we're so many shows in, I'm starting to run together. But I think that as far as challenges, we're really lucky that we get to do this together. And so whenever there is a challenge, whether it comes to tech or it comes to content planning or anything like that, we're lucky that we have each other to bounce off of. And it's been really great to do that. Now, the other challenge is, we've got Wednesday night is Flip Flops and Beer, Thursday night is my show, and then On the Road with Kenny and Nell. So it takes a lot of our time. So we spend a lot of time planning. There's a lot of work that goes behind these shows. And so we're doing that together too, which is awesome. It's amazing. But one of the challenges I think about doing some of this is figuring out when to turn off the business aspect and turn on the married couple aspect, you know?
Yeah, exactly. My wife, she is my biggest fan, and she's my biggest fan. She's my biggest critic, and she keeps me on track, but she doesn't listen to my show. I'm talking about when I'm entertaining, I'm out, with my band. She is right there. Oh, you need to, you're too loud or whatever. But I mean, she's my biggest fan, and I love her about that. And she, right now, she fell down and injured herself. And oh my goodness, she's on the couch.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. The street dogs here are loose, and they're well cared for, but this one's a new street dog, and he thought he would attack our little dog, and he came between my legs, my dog. We were right at the corner, and the curbs here are really high because of the water flow, and one thing led to another, and we all got tangled, and she went down. But she's fine, just bruised and embarrassed, maybe.
Yeah.
But
hopefully she'll be okay.
Oh yeah, she's fine. She's tough.
But she's not laying on the couch listening to the show?
No, she's watching a movie. Well, country music isn't her thing, so.
Everybody, we've got these conversations too. Everybody in your life shows support in different ways. You know that your wife is your biggest friend. She's not listening to the show, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's not supporting you. And that's the thing about anybody in our lives. We have people that listen to our shows every single week and are there in the text, and they're telling us, "Hey, we're listening." And like Kelly, shout out to Kelly Johnson. She's listening right now. Some people do that, and then some people don't. And people just show support in different ways. So they're fans of what we're doing. It's just they show it in different ways, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's like me. I went on Facebook. I said, I'm live with Kenneth Tice and Nell Tice now. Come on board. I want to shout out to my listener. Thank you for listening. Yeah, right. I heard there's a talk show with a bunch of really actors. It's called Smartless, and they always give tribute to their listener. We'd like to thank our listener. Yeah, just one. Just like they have a very successful podcast. But it's just I get cracked up when they say we want to thank our listener.
Yeah, I'm just praising that.
Yeah,
you guys have
Thank you for.
Go ahead. I said, you guys have a big fan base. I like that a lot. I try and chime in on your chat, Kenny, when you're there, just to show my support.
My gosh.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That chat is super fun, and we started with our OTR chat, and that's kind of how it got rolling. The OTR chat was kind of Nell's brainchild, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way. I mean, if we're going to be live and interact with our listeners, and those chats are a great way to do that and make people feel like they're a part of the show. And they are. And because the whole reason why we're doing this is for the audience, for the listeners, to support the music and to make the world go round. And, being able to talk in real time and have people ask questions and we can answer them on air, it really makes everyone feel like they're a part of something.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And this is my 9th show. And
congratulations.
Yeah, I'm still in the single digits, but tomorrow will be my 10th show, and I have a really cool gentleman, Wes Henley. I don't know if you know Wes. He's from
I don't know Wes.
Jackson, Tennessee, Highland House Productions. He was Carl Perkins's guitar player for many years.
Oh my God!
And he built Carl's first studio in Jackson, Tennessee, and he helped with the production of Sunny Side of Paradise along with Chuck Freeman at Tough Duck Music. And I had Chuck on. He was my second guest on the show. And I shout out to Chuck, man. He's down there in the Keys now. He was in Jackson, Tennessee, and he's down there, and now he's busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. Him and his wife Linda.
That's busy right there.
That's right. I'm telling you. But yeah, Wes is on tomorrow, and I don't think I'll have enough time to do it all in one show, or maybe I'll just do a 2-hour segment because he's got so much to
I
tell.
can't even imagine.
Yeah, we were speaking, how you balance your roles. Describe your typical preparation for your show. What do you guys do?
Great question. We'll let Kenny start for this one for his.
Well, I mean, my preparation starts with it. So, you and I actually talked about this a little bit earlier, Dave, when we had when we chatted
exactly
for this show. So we use different softwares to broadcast than you do, but it all accomplishes the same thing. But so I have I have a file, a folder with all my music in it, and what I do is I have a separate folder that I have for my weekly show, and I wipe it clean every single week, and then I start building it with the songs that I want to play that week, and as soon as the show's over, as soon as I'm done doing my show, the next day I wipe it clean, and then over the next few days, as things come to me, or I just allow things to come to me, and I start I should play this song next week, and then I'll jump in and I'll add it to the folder. And one of the biggest things that I do, and I've told people this, so it's no secret, there's been a core group of crop rock artists, a handful, that have really been just a godsend. They support the show. People like Beth Travers, people like Jeff Randall, who's going to be live in studio this week. This big pop rock fest here in PA. Danny Alvarez, just David Key, guys like that. And I'm always, one thing you will always get from me every single week is those core group artists. You will hear their music every single week because I'm going to support them because they've been supporting me. And that's my initial preparation. And then, it's like I get out there, I listen to other stations because honestly, it's like sometimes there's a song that you may not have known existed or had ever heard of. It's like, oh, that's a cool song. I need to go out and get that song. And so I do types of things. So as far as for my show, that's the preparation that I make. And then there's music people are just sending to me. They get added to the show, and new songs and things like that I add. But that's my preparation for my show.
Nice.
Yeah, my show, the '90s Revenge Show, is a little more simple. I throw some songs in that I really loved from the decade into virtual DJ. Now, I am a staunch supporter of Apple and Mac products, so I use two different softwares to set up 90s Revenge and On the Road with Kenny and Nell. 90s Revenge is it's all music, so I just am throwing songs in that I love. Now, I do plan themed shows from time to time. I did recently, my most recent show was Parental Advisory Edition, where I did some controversial music from the 90s and some suggested songs. I've done TV and film shows. I've done other themes for that. So I'll do more preparation and research for those shows. And so for On the Road with Kenny and Nell, I use Apple Logic for my software. So I pre-plan everything because we've got, the intro and the outro. We've got some songs, and we play 4 to 6 songs during our show. So I usually have those planned out. We've got news, so we talk about travel news and things like that. So we'll do research for travel news and anything else going on in the travel world. But we always have to have a conversation about what we're going to talk about on OTR, because we actually had a 2-hour show for On the Road, and we realized, we're not traveling full time, and we still have our YouTube channel. at the time, when we were doing 2-hour shows, we were basically creating 8 hours of travel content plus our YouTube content in a month. And it became very unsustainable to do all of that when you're not traveling time. So we revisited old trips that we took and, best food in some of the places that we travel. We've done anything you can imagine. And so we always have a content, session before we plan the shows. And now that we've gone down to an hour, it gets a lot easier because a lot of our show is the banter back and forth between us. And, I give Kenny a hard time and Kenny makes fun of me. So it became a lot of that with like a side of travel. So that makes it a lot easier for preparation.
Yeah. My prep is pretty much the same. I have to research and write I script my program so I'm not just rambling on and on and on. But
Okay.
I have to research my artists. Most of them I know. The few that I've had on so far, I've known personally, and so it's easy to do that. I know what I want to talk to them about. Coming up, I'd like to give a shout out to Blaze Management. They're out of Nashville, Tennessee, and Paula Ann. They have sent Cruisin' Country Radio about 7 brand new artists that are just amazing. And Tara McCurry, she's Justin Wright's manager, and she plays a big part with the Blaze. And the Blaze, you guys are amazing and awesome. Thank you so much. And I look forward to some more new talent. There's a couple new people out there that I really would like to get on the show.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Yeah, people working together. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. And you mentioned a bunch of people on your show, Kenny, that it's funny because when I started with Harry, I was his engineer, and I'm still his engineer, but we're a bunch of miles apart. And I was engineering for him at the Parrot Head shows in the Keys, and I met everybody that's anybody in the trop rock industry, and I got to know them and set their sound up for them, and it's like, wow, I got a front row seat to some of the best music on the planet.
Oh, you're so lucky. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's so many good people in the trop rock country music scene, especially the independent scene. It's just, the collaboration that everybody has and the way they all support each other. It doesn't feel like a cutthroat type of community. You don't get that feeling. It feels like they all support each other. They all support each other's music. They all support the radio stations that are spinning their tunes, and it's a wonderful community to be a part of.
I got to the first show I did was a fundraiser for Ocean Dreams, Terry Sutton, and your next guest, he's coming. Jeff is coming to the studio.
Yeah, Jeff will be here on Wednesday because there's a big Trop Rock Fest here starting Thursday. So Jeff will be live on the show. He's co-hosting with me for 2 hours on Wednesday.
Nice. You should have him. You should invite Harold Booth.
I don't know. It's interesting. He's been commenting on several of the posts. The first thing he asked me was if I'm allowing Jeff inside. And, I'm like, well, I'm assuming he's house trained.
No.
But it's funny. I don't know that Harold Booth is going to be at the Trop Rock Fest. I don't think he's one of the listed artists, honestly.
He may not. He's busy all over. I love Harold. Like I said, the first show I did, it was Harold and Jeff Booth on the stage at the same time, and they traded off. And their banter is so amazing because they're great friends, but they always talk crap about each other, on the stage. And Harold's going, I know Jeff, he paid you to put him on first. I'm like, no, he did, but sorry. If you want to pay more, I say. But no, I mean, those two are probably two of the greatest entertainers when it comes to just improvising on the stage. Harold has a travel guitar that breaks down, and it's really cool. And he's one of the only musicians I know that still has his set list on his guitar back, taped on.
Really?
Paper set list taped on his guitar back. I love it. Like, wow. Now that's trop country.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
like you said earlier, Dave, pop rock and country, they're separate genres technically, but there's so much overlap in the styles of music there that sometimes it's kind of hard to tell where one starts and the other ends.
absolutely. I mean, Kenny Chesney did it the best. I think he broke from country straight into to trop country. Jimmy Buffett went the other way. He was Margaritaville, but he also came on to they crossed over, and crossover is great, I think.
Yeah.
If you look at the songs I've written, I'm so all over the place. Rock and roll, country, trop, So I'm eclectic as heck.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like all different styles of music. I mean, I have a particular genre for my radio show, but I listen to just about everything, honestly, and I enjoy just about everything.
So if you had to nail down one genre and year, what would it be?
Oh wow! The pop rock became I became obsessed with it in probably about 2016, and I've been obsessed since. I was introduced to it in Florida, in Clearwater Beach, at a little mom and pop motel, Frenchie's Oasis. So I've been obsessed with pop rock, and that's my love. That's my love now. But I gotta be honest with you, growing up, like in high school, I loved like 90s rap. 90s rap back in the day. Yeah, and then when I got out into the world of like the working man, my mentor and one of my first like real job was into country music. So, and I had never listened to country music, but country music was on the radio the entire time because I had no pull to choose the station, and he did. So, and that's how I fell in love with country music at that point. So I've listened to everything from 90s rap, country music. I love classic rock, but pop rock it has been my love now for probably the last 10 years, and I really just enjoy it.
Nell?
Yeah, okay, so I am a 90s grunge girl through and through. I grew up listening to a station called 98 Rock out of Baltimore, Maryland, and my dad loved it. He listened to heavy metal, he listened to classic rock and everything, and I loved classic rock too. I still do. But growing up in the late 90s, it was the era of the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears.
I want it
all
that way.
I just couldn't do it. And I discovered 90s grunge, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, all of those bands. And I became enthralled about, with the story about what happened in Seattle with Nirvana and the record company that signed them. Like, it's a whole story. I became enthralled with it. But I was very involved in music growing up. My grandfather taught me how to play saxophone at a very young age. Probably should have saved this answer for the first question about influences. But he taught me how to play saxophone, and he actually toured with the Glenn Miller Band back in the 1940s. And
nice.
He, being from Philadelphia, he was a grandmother, and they decided he was scared of the country in Lebanon and Obama's for his family. But he really got me into jazz music. And so I played in a jazz band. I played in bands in school and everything like that. So I started to appreciate more genres. And the classic rock was still there. I just could never really get into popular music. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. I couldn't stand country for the longest time, but now that I'm around it more and hearing more of it, I went to Nashville, I did the tours and everything. I have so much more respect for it now that it has become something that I do enjoy. But, I always say when it comes to music, you can't appreciate the new stuff unless you appreciate the classics. So anything that started a movement, I'm a real big fan of.
Right. Smells Like Teen Spirit. It almost ended up being cut from the album.
That would have been terrible.
Absolutely terrible. I did a report in school on Kurt Cobain because I remember this in high school. Our English teacher asked us to write a report about somebody that was very influential to you. And everybody chose all these extremely positive, popular, motivational, inspirational people. And here, Kurt Cobain was very influential and inspirational to me. And my teacher pulled me aside and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." Hey, why? And I think she was just kind of assuming that I was going through something because I found his story so influential. And at the time, it just seemed it was a little taboo. But he was so incredibly talented.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So you can't deny it.
We've covered. Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Come on, Kenny.
No, I was going to tell you something that Nell did not tell you, and I don't know if she's being modest or not. Nell plays the steel drum.
What?
Nell is a steel drum player. She played steel drum band in high school for many years, and she's a very talented steel drum player.
That's interesting. We need to talk after the show now. I've got some trop songs.
It's been a few years.
I've got some trop songs. You could throw some tracks down on it.
Yeah. I'd have to get in front of a pan or two and refresh my memory for sure.
Do you have them there with you?
I do not own steel pans. No, I played doubles in high school, and so I never played lead pan. So I was never used to playing the melody. I was always harmony, and it's just. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've gone back for alumni concerts to play, and it is like riding a bike. It truly is.
You still play the saxophone?
I don't. I really don't. I have a couple. I do have my grandfather's old saxophone too. Actually, it's funny. Our godson is playing saxophone now in school, and he was so excited when he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. You can, help me play and things like that." So the last time I got my saxophone out was to play with him. It was great, but now I'm in the process of learning guitar. So
I've been in that process for about 22 years.
But yeah, I love playing new instruments and learning them, and but saxophone's always going to be my first love.
Nice. Kenny, what about you?
I don't play any instruments.
You play the stereo.
I'm not talented in any way.
Yeah, you're great at stereo. I can turn the stereo on.
No, I was never I was into sports and things like that growing up.
So what'd you play?
I played basketball, baseball, soccer, that type of thing. I could have played some football because, gosh, I love football. American football, by the way.
Right.
Not the same all over the world, but
it's
American football. Yeah, not football. But yeah, I wasn't really into. I was into music. I was into listening to music, but I wasn't musically inclined. My friends weren't. We did sports and things like that in high school. So I don't play any musical instruments. And it's one of the things that we're complete opposites on. She's completely musically inclined, and I'm not. I enjoy music. I love music. But I don't play music.
Well, opposites attract, and I think that, you see a lot of couples that are both entertainers, and it usually is an ego thing or something like that. They have a hard time with each other because musicians we want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I'm super humble, and I don't even take pay when my band gets paid. I make sure the band gets paid. I hired a sound guy. I make sure my sound guy gets paid. But I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for the enjoyment and to entertain. But,
For you. That's amazing.
it's like we're not. If I was on stage, touring with an album, it'd be different. But I just have a cover band and we have fun.
Yeah, I mean that's really the most important thing. But I mean, not a lot of people can say that. And I'm starting now that we're. It's so weird to say, but we actually just told each other the other day. I said, "Oh, I guess our business in Tyson Media is in the music industry now." And he said, "Yeah, I guess we kind of are." And getting to know certain nuances and making these connections, and when you hear about people that are really truly doing good things to support artists, and it's like you have to latch onto that and support, because I feel like that doesn't happen that often in the music industry.
I think trop rock and country,
Yeah,
they are probably some of the most humble and giving and caring folks on the planet as far as entertainers go. They're always there boosting up the new guy and, encouraging and showing. It's kind of like learning Spanish down here. They correct you when you say it wrong, but they correct you with elegance.
yeah,
It's not like, oh, you messed up and did that wrong. They go, no, here's the way you say it properly. And I appreciate that. I appreciate
absolutely.
I appreciate the acquaintances I've met so far in the trop industry and the country industry that have just kind of bent over backwards. And I tip my hat to all y'all that are out there listening, and especially my listeners, our listeners. You make it worthwhile because your comments and just the fact that you're taking an hour out of your day to listen to us, that means a lot.
Yeah, it means absolutely everything, because it's like we're not we're not doing this to listen to ourselves talk. Like, we love the listener interaction. We love when people say that they're enjoying the show, and we do it for two things. We do it to support the independent artists, because that's what we're about, and we do it for the people that are listening, and that's where we get our gratification from. And I think I would speak for Nell, and I'm sure I speak for you also, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. 100%.
Yeah, it's a win for everybody, because we do it because we love it, not because we're getting paid to do it a bunch. We're not, Back to the script. What do you think? What are the key elements that make your show stand out from the others on Sandcastle?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I think one of them for sure is just being a husband and wife team.
Yeah.
That adds a whole level to a show. I mean, even if you have a Dads and Pete, they are technically the only other ones on the station that do a show together. Weekend Chit Chat is on Friday mornings, and they talk about, states and things that are going on Sandcastle Radio and in their ecosystem. And they have this banter back and forth that, is different from our banter, but it's been, you spend so much time together since you're married and you're working together and all these things, that we have this connection, and we can just play off of each other, and it creates a dynamic that you can't create on a solo show or, just a music show. So I think that in itself helps us stand out for sure, because we use each other to play off of to create the entertainment for everybody listening.
Yeah, I agree with Nell there. That's what makes. I mean, as far as on Sandcastle, that's what makes us unique. Doing a show as husband and wife, it honestly makes as I'm sure you can relate to. I mean, Dave, doing solo shows, everything's on you. Like everything, you have to make sure that you can fill the time slot. But when you're doing a show with somebody else, you get to play off of each other. It does make it a lot easier to pull those shows off. And almost all, with the exception of, like Val said, Weekend Chit Chat, all the other shows are solo DJ shows. And so, in a way, and we were for a long time, we were the only dual show, or we were the only show on Sandcastle that had two people on it before Weekend Chit Chat came around. I mean, we were the second show ever to air on Sandcastle Radio. So, I feel like that is too. We've been there since the very beginning, alongside Pete and Debs. We've been lucky enough to do that. But yeah, it's being a husband and wife on the radio. I feel like that's not normal.
Well, you're still married, so yeah, that's a good thing.
We are still married. We do like each other most days.
Most days, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jeanette and I we've been best friends for 20 years, and we're loners. We hang out together, and it's like I entertain, but I keep to myself. I don't like exposing myself so much out there, other than my shows that I do. And this right here, this show gives me a chance to promote, like you said, original country artists and their music. And I think that is, for me, the most rewarding, is to see how they progress. And even my older accomplished artists, I still want to promote their new songs,
Mm-hmm.
It's really, that's what's rewarding to me. And I have a cool question. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Get
it.
Does it feel like you've been on the show for an hour?
No, not really.
Amazing show is so, like, there's such a pride to it that every time we do a show, we go, when we do guests on OTR, which is pretty rare, we, like, all of our guests have always left and said that went by way faster than I ever would have imagined. And it's because there is, there's this high, there's this fun and this intrigue and mystery and all the things going on with live radio that it really just immerses you, that you come up for air and it's like, it's time to hit end broadcast. It's crazy.
Yeah.
To give you an example, we've touched about a quarter of what I had scheduled in my syllabus. One quarter.
Dave, does that mean we've talked too much?
No, I love it. Talking lets people know who you are, and I think we touched on really the cool basics behind your guys' story. Your lives are very unique, and I wanted to get you on here so my country fans can kind of come over and check out you guys. I love the 90s, but I love the 90s country, Neil. I'm a big
A 90s country show one of these days.
You do. I want to hear it. I'm a Vince Gill, John Michael Montgomery, Restless. I'm just I put those songs in my show and my guys go, "Who's this?" Like, no.
90s country, 90s and early 2000s country is amazing music.
It is. I think one of my most favorite bands, Restless Heart, people think they're pop, but they're not. And I love singing their songs. They're just because that band is amazing, but they have like 5-part harmony. Rascal Flatts, wow, what a band,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rascal Flatts is amazing. I don't remember. I was talking to somebody just recently who worked with one of their drummer, I think it was. Maybe it was Jeremy. I'm sure it was Jeremy. Worked with their drummer for a while, and yeah, super, super talented group of guys.
Yeah. Well, I've invited Justin Wright and the Dirty Strings down here. Next year, I have in the works a original country music festival. It's going to happen around November, and I've invited Ken down, but I'm also inviting you now to come down for that and go side by side with me and Harry and just check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're down for a good travel.
Hell yes. And this would be
that would make a great YouTube video.
Oh yeah, I'm going to try and Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on tonight, and I thank you for sharing everything and your insights and your experiences with us. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Dave. This was amazing. Thank you so much. Love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a real honor when you asked me if we would be on the show. It's like, wow, that's awesome, and I was really looking forward to it. When you originally said November, it was like, oh, okay. And then when it came up that it was going to be sooner, I was super stoked to have this conversation. So it's a pleasure for us, and we appreciate you giving us this platform, and we appreciate your time and all of those things.
All right. Well, hang on. I'm going to close the show, and I'll be right back to you, and we can chat later. All right. Thank you once again.
Got it.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks to our listeners. Thanks for tuning into the Dave Roush Show Special Edition. Be sure and catch my next guest tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, Wes Henley of Highland House Productions. It's going to be an interesting show. He is packed full of great stories. He has a book. I think he's going to talk about his book, and that's great. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is Dave Roush, the Dave Roush Show. Cruisin' Country Radio, and don't forget we've got the Cruisin' Country Top 40 coming up at the first of the month. See you soon. Bye-bye. Yeah, that went well.
A wrap.
Yeah, I got to stop recording.